Yeah. We are here. We're here at freedomslips.com. Revolution Radio. And we are donation and listener supported, and it is the 4th of May. We only have $45. So that means 4 people maybe have donated. I guess our words and our agendas and our being here doesn't make a dang bit of difference about it. Well, I think it does. I know it does. We are so versatile in many opinions, many arrays of how we just are trying to share what is out there, what we are seeing and experiencing and believing into creation. Yes, indeedy. So please go to the homepage or the chat. We have donate buttons everywhere. And I do want to say www something biz leather. Yeah, well, I'll get to that again because we know what day it is. It's Monday. And if you missed any of our other Monday shows with Mohsen and I, then you can get the archives for $5 a month. And you can get every episode out of the archives. And I think it would be a good thing because it might just take a word, just might take a moment, a tone of voice. And things can become epiphanies and yahoos. Because it's either acclimating into your system or you're figuring that you were right all along. Poof, those people who disbelieve you. But anyway, hello, Mohsen. It's Monday.
Hello, my dear. How are you doing?
You know, for many years I've had people ask me that, and I still say, I don't know how, but I give thanks that it keeps happening.
That's great. That's the most important thing, you know.
Well, we don't think about our breathing unless we think about our breathing. You know, it's a trainable thing that we can change it, but automatically the body does its own thing.
That's true. But in these days, these what is it? Days and ages, and
the age
this
of
day
days,
and age,
right?
this day and age, what we need to do, we need to really work on our breathing because there is a tremendous amount of energies that are about us, and it is stealth, and we can't see it. So, but it is there, and you actually, when you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and in a meditative state, or getting ready for meditation, and you just basically feel that actually you're getting charged, and your auric system is expanding, and of course you have to have the allowance, as we know. You have to believe in it, and you have to believe that there are these energies coming, and they're benevolent, and they're good for you. And once you have that, then
well, it's almost like self-mastery.
Exactly.
Because each one would have a different thing. Go ahead.
The whole thing is self-mastery, my dear. The whole experience on the planet of duality is basically self-mastery because it is trying. It's not smooth. You know what I'm saying? And you have the bad, you have the good, you have the plus, you have the minus, you have the right and the left and whatever.
The on, the off.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because go ahead.
You have to, you have to pick and choose, and you have to choose wisely.
We have to recognize, like you said, because if somebody really asked me how, I could say, well, it's first by breath and then by thought, and then it should be actually heart before thought, but that's okay. We're only human. And that the rest of us does have sources of energies like the chakras and the meridians, and even our attitudes have power spots in our bodies. And it is a good thing to master our thoughts through our heart, because that's the real condition of, I believe, why we're here. Or I know why we're here. It ain't no belief. I'm not going to just put it in my mind over and over again like an acclamation. Is that what they call them? Where you say it enough that you train your mind for it to be so. Well, Why isn't it just already so? Why would I have to believe it? You know what I mean? That I am the master of my own stewardness to train my body, discipline it more or less.
Right. Well, the energies are there, and your willpower is given to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you basically you are the boss. You're the pilot of your ship, and you pick and choose. But what is happening is that at this point, we're very much governed by, at the lowest level of consciousness anyway. We're very,
Mm-hmm.
very much governed by our physical consciousness, which is run by your brain and your logic system. But as we expand in our consciousness and so to speak, become more and more attuned, we find that it's more of a heart that takes over.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, what I'm told is that when we're in the fifth dimension and higher, your brain function basically reduces. It becomes a kind of organ, like a lot of organs we have in our bodies, the appendix and this and that
Mm-hmm.
they don't really do anything anymore. Like you know, well, the thyroid gland it still does, but there are, you know, such things in your body, and your brain becomes much more dormant, and it's your heart that takes over because everything is through intuition,
Mm-hmm.
everything is through your senses and feelings, and you of course operate, under, you know what I'm saying, with, on a different system,
Mm-hmm.
completely in a different system,
But it's either by
telepathy.
love or it's either by hate, because that's
Well, there is,
where we experience so much to judge that difference when
that's
it's
right,
all
honey. But
still energies, and it's up to us to either feel the truth in it or to think we know better when we don't always.
right, but those are all again the lower uh, duality realm of existence. Once you go to the fifth dimension and higher, there is no hate. Hate cannot function under those circumstances. And the energies are all positive. Everything is unity consciousness, it's collective consciousness, it's cooperation, and everything is for creationism.
Mm-hmm.
And you cooperate and you basically distribute that task among yourselves, but everything that comes in, everybody reaps the benefit of it. I mean, just think about it. If in this world there would be no proprietary information, so to speak, there would be no competition, there would be no fighting, conflict, and first of all, you would eradicate all these useless lawyers, okay, which they're basically useless, okay. Even the one, I mean, they're just licensed to steal. That's a very, very simple thing to say. That's a correct thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
And they do very little. And even the ones who even represent their clients effectively and all this stuff, what do? They just feed the fire of fighting. And the more they do this, of course, they earn more money. They prolong it and then all this stuff. So, I mean, and just think about it. If this competition, jealousy, all this stuff didn't exist, we would put all our efforts together and everything would get superimposed upon each other. And instead of working against one another, you see?
Mm-hmm.
It's- in this life, you have positive and negative. And anybody with the slightest sense of mathematics would know that a positive number plus a negative number, it reduces, the overall result is that it reduces. 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 5 minus 3 is 2. Okay, so and that is basically what happens on duality. But and you may ask yourself, why? Why do we accept to come in here? Why do we even want to do this? Is it masochism? It seems like, doesn't it? It really does seem like it. But the
I know
point,
I did it for Mother Earth this time around. I know that
right?
straight in my heart because humanity is a destroyer without even knowing that they're paying for it to be destroyed because of the ignorance of what they think instead of what they feel.
And I'm sure every single person who comes in, they have something. There's a mission. There's a reason they come in. Some people, such as Mandela or Gandhi or some person like that, they came for a much bigger reason. They really came in here to
Act
learn.
wrong. They
Yeah,
acclimated this a whole society. If we're recognizing the names, because it's a general, all humanity kind of thing.
right. And they were oppressed, they were suppressed, they were put into prison with the bad,
Unhappily.
bad, horrible, horrible energies of prisons. They went through that, and you see Gandhi, excuse me,
That's all right. Feathers will do that.
and after, yeah, well, the birds are not in actually; they're in the patio. But anyway, but what he did, he actually fought against it. The more he was suppressed, the more he became peaceful and loving. And at the very end, when he couldn't even see people seeing his way, and even at the very end, when they kicked out the British and
hmm
they started having problems with the Muslims and the Hindus, and again he went fasting because he realized that there's just this hatred was so much between these two because of just damn religion.
hmm
And so he resorted to fasting, and so he was putting himself under more and more pressure and stress and all that. And I think not only himself learned a big lesson in life and really achieved mastery, but taught others. I mean, Gandhi and Mandela, they really taught the world a big, huge lesson. Something that was there for people to see, to feel. It was not anything that was subjective or theoretical or faith based or anything like that. It was in the
hmm
physical, in the duality, and he prevailed. I mean, my God, he kicked out the British.
hmm
Gandhi, can you imagine that? Can you imagine kicking out British at that time that they were at the peak of their power? I mean, it's still, we know they still have their power, but it's all under the veil.
Right.
But uh, but at that time they were openly. I mean, they could just open fire. I mean, you had this general who just went there, and he was such an egotistical maniac that when people were peacefully demonstrating and he had given them warning to leave the area, and then egotistically just told his soldiers to open fire, and they I don't recall the exact numbers, but like every what is it, what is the point, every shot that they made, that they killed somebody. Okay, because when they went and counted the number of blanks and the number of bodies in there, they were almost the same. So I mean, how ruthless can you get? how
Well, that's
egotistical
pretty
is.
determined on marksmanship, if you ask me, in one set or another. I actually appreciate and like guns, but not for murdering, as per se, for that agenda. That's just. When will we learn that we're all the same and that humanity counts? Because I
Right.
guess we've been taught that none of us count. Because why then would these murders and atrocities take place?
It's just, well, going
Well,
back to the subject of gun, I actually strongly disagree with any arms or gun or shooting or anything like that. Absolutely 100%. But also, I know that it is one of those dilemmas
the
that we
double-edged
have.
sword. Because otherwise, they use swords to kill each other. There's all kinds of way of killing.
Oh, exactly. Well, I mean, I'm just not talking about gun. I mean knives or swords or whatever. I mean, any form, I mean, poison, whatever.
Yeah, you just read my
Chemical
mind.
poisoning, poisoning
Right.
by biological
Pharmaceuticals
warfare.
today, right? Get your money, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
heaven
anything.
have mercy. How can
Yeah,
we
but
bring
it is
mercy
part.
back to heaven, Mohsen?
It's just a part of duality. Unfortunately, let me get rid of this thing. It's part of duality that people. Let's see. Why I
Well,
gotta
we've
get rid
lost
of
our
this?
love for ourselves because we're as beautiful as the rest of the planet, especially if it's lived in unconditional love instead of the hate and the war and the me, 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 me. No, I can see like a peacock me. But a peacock doesn't go and destroy other animals and habitats and things like that because of his me. He just knows he's me. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to disgrace the me because I have a me, myself, and I. You know what I mean?
Right, right. But you see, I watch a lot of, as I said before, I love animals and I watch the wildlife and nature and stuff like this.
It's the only
And
way
when
you're
you
going to be
look at,
able to see it for what we've brought life to.
oh, actually, from one point of view, I think we are very, very fortunate
Okay.
that we are living in this day and age because it's the peak of technology in some ways, and some of
Mm-hmm.
it is good technology. I mean, when you see that these people are going in the trees and set up their stuff, BBC and whatever, and they are really filming the most impossible circumstances, and you're seeing it in a big screen in here in HD and beautiful, that even if you were present at the time in the forest, in the desert, well, not desert, but forest, mountains, it would be very, very hard to see that angle with that angle. What is that bird is doing? What are these monkeys doing or whatever the animal is?
Mm-hmm.
And they have, I mean, I've always watched these programs very, very passionately. Okay. But
Yeah.
I kind of lost touch, during the past, maybe, well, not during the past, but sometimes about maybe 10 years I wasn't watching, late 90s to maybe end of 2000 or whatever, but I've gone back to it, and the quality, the everything is just incredible. And what I was going to say is that we're very lucky because even if we had the means to go and see all these things ourselves, which would be a different experience because you're in there, right there. But we could not, we could not experience everything that we can experience on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And the better the pixels become and the better that becomes, it's just, it becomes almost real, And so I think that's one of the things that we have to enjoy, to see the planet. I mean, I'm glad you love Gaia and Mother Earth, and that's how I feel. That's one of the things that really ticks me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I've had to
That
learn to not let those energies give more rips in my auritic feeling to the point of where I've had to abate it because I can only change how I feel about the situations, not the situations. And that means with everything from child pornography to the slavery to, I mean, I am not going to allow it to become a personal to me to let it take my energies because you need them for the rest of the, I don't want to say fight or battle, but that's what it seems to be for this coexistence we call life is, you know, we got to put more peace to the places that are so chaotic. And by me holding that peace to it, it will be there. Does that make sense?
oh, I couldn't agree with you anymore because it is right now. It from one point of view, it is tough. It's just tougher actually than usual because this pre-ascension has tremendous demands on you because the energetics that are coming, they're extremely strong and potent,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a feeble, existence. I mean, your system, your energetic system, is not designed for that. You're trying to expand and grow in your auric system, and it's like your growth are pain. It's painful. I mean, any kind of growth is painful, you know. And then you need. Let me tell you something, Mona. There were times that I don't know how I had all this energy. I had
Mm-hmm.
energy for anger. I've been constantly, I would say, sort of in the past suffering from people, the way they treat each other, all these things that exist. Because I say I know it's like I come from maybe fifth dimension or something like this. Maybe I know this and I've known it all my life.
Mm-hmm.
It could be better if you can just put away your conflict, anger, hatred, prejudices, and all this stuff. It could be a better. I mean, think about it.
It'd be more
There were
fun,
people,
wouldn't it? That we didn't all have the
of
same.
course. No, not only you would have peace, tranquility, and all this stuff,
Some better
you would have an
adventure. Yeah.
yeah, and you would have a better life because, if the next door neighbor, okay, let's say if they're colored, okay, and in the past they had all these silly attitudes they had. Oh well, color moved into the neighborhood and this nonsense. That's a human being. It's just like you. And if you get along with them, you go on a vacation, they can take a look at your house and make sure nothing goes wrong. A flood comes or something, you leave I mean, cooperating with each
Yeah,
other, taking care of
exactly.
each other, you know,
Right.
and it makes things easier. And that's the
But you
principle.
give what you get. And most people really still haven't fathomed that issue of energy source.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's part of duality. They learned
It's
that
reality
way.
too.
Yeah,
It's
well, the
cause and
duality.
effect.
Yeah, but that's something that, again, karma is something that has to be avoided. It doesn't
What?
serve a
Wait a minute.
purpose.
Karma is just cause and effect, action and reaction. There is no other thing. It's a natural form of existence. Why would we have to deny it when we're trying to manifest a better of it?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying denying it. I never said denying it. I said handling it better. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Well, you
listen,
got to do that with the ego
car
too, don't you?
same thing with ego, of course. Ego is another disrupt, but karma is something that, you can dwell. I mean, any time you dwell on negativities, whether it's a work of ego or anger or create karma, victim consciousness, any of that stuff. What you're doing, not only you're just dissipating and wasting energy,
Hmm.
okay, it is not benefiting anything. I mean, this is the something that I was talking yesterday. Of course, didn't get recorded, but I was talking about the interpersonal relationship,
Mm-hmm.
that how to handle all that stuff, because all of these things, anger is much more destructive to yourself than to the person that you think that you are imposing upon.
That's why
You know
I
what I'm saying?
believe heavily in pillow fights. Heavily. I believe
Yeah.
it so heavily
Well,
in
I
pillow
tell you,
fights.
I have a better idea. Even instead of pillow fights, give a nice hug. You know,
Well,
I
that's a
mean,
whole different story.
no,
Because,
you can
yes,
give
it
a
is. No, 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 no. Because I am one of the huggers. I had to teach and train my family to be able to give that unconditional love many, many decades ago because it's missing.
right.
It's missing from even just friendships, etc.
Oh,
But
of course.
if that person can dialogically put up such a wall, such a hate, such a an energy that if you give them that hug, it could actually harm them. And I'm not going there either. So it's all a train of thought and use of heart, and we'll be back in a few moments. And where are we again? Oh yeah, freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. And that it is so cool. We have 2 studios, 3 on Sundays, because we have our Hawk's Nest. And I don't know, but I know that we can actually send you to the homepage. There's so much there. There's the bullet drive with documents that you're going to need for these upcoming changes because we do live in a big, fast paced, changing world. And if you have a foundation of knowledge, then you can survive this. Also, what some would call an Armageddon, but I actually have a pretty peaceful life. Things around me are not cluster messed up because that's how I feel about it. And when we can learn to direct our thoughts and our views in a beneficial way, it'll be for everybody. Ah, Mohsen, Monday,
Yes,
five
ma'am.
days to go.
Hmm.
Oh, I
Well,
love it. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm sharing your aortic bleeding maintenance video right now because
oh,
this is what we need to know. And oh, is it a video? Is it going to come right up? Anyway, I'm sharing the links because this is vital that we know how to protect ourselves through all these fluctuating changes.
right. Now, the thing that you see is basically the transcript of the show,
Oh, okay.
which, and as I said, that I completed the whole talk, but they didn't get about 30 minutes of it, so I will be redoing that, and not the whole thing, but I'll just do. So instead of episode 6, it'll be episode 6 and 7.
Gosh, there's just so
So,
much to it, Mosin. I mean, oh my gosh.
well, there are 4 papers in there
I
that
see
there
that.
are, and if you click on those, you can actually go to the original papers and just read the stuff.
Right.
So, you
Because
know,
it means a lot. And then for it to be in relation with the Earth's magnosphere.
right, magnetosphere, yeah.
Uh huh.
Yeah, actually, I try to cover, the most important things that, you know, is auric bleeding,
Mm-hmm.
gives you auric bleeding. In the first paper, you've got some general things, but the most important thing is basically the alternating current, which, the TV, the computers, microwaves, all these kind of things. And then, it talks about remedies of how to try to alleviate some of those problems.
Cool.
And also talks a little bit, I believe I put it in the first one, gemstones. We're wearing gemstones, which are important because they can actually shield you from some cations, the negative, the well, actually, they're positive ions, but they adhere to negativity, and these noble metals and these single refracted gems and double refracted gems.
Mm-hmm.
They basically absorb them, Working with crystals is very, very interesting, important, especially if you can work with phi crystals, because phi crystals are much more, um, you know, better structure and better advanced, And then there's also type particular cut type of a of a phi crystals, which is called Vogel. The Vogel refers to the person who introduced them. Vogel crystals, they're absolutely amazing. If you work with them, you can actually start communicating your intent and go back and forth and develop a relationship. I should actually do that myself more, and I actually got a phi crystal, and I purchased those, and I've got a skull and all that. But anyway, that's something to do.
Oh, really?
But
How
that
big is your skull?
it isn't. It is not. It's probably about maybe half of a, or a little more than a half of a regular size skull.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a
It
good
sounds
size, but
hefty. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah, it's not.
mine's just a half of inch.
Oh, no, no,
But
no. This
mine
is
actually was with Max the Crystal Skull for at least 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
I know, I
That
got to have the baby in my lab. And I asked him to help on his side to flip and annihilate the parasites because I've had enough.
right. I took my skull to the, well, actually I took the other one, which is it is actually an obelisk, I think. It's I took it to the, it's cut very, very, I mean, the facets and everything is incredible. I think I've got a 144. I got to go back to it. I haven't looked at it for a while. It was, I took that to
What a
the
meditation. Being
I
surrounded by
took
skulls. You really have 144 skulls? Is that what you said?
no, 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 no. I
Oh,
said
God, that would be
144.
cool.
No, yeah. Actually, you know, I've wasted so much money and so many things in my past that you know what I'm saying. And I think it is a great idea to just have skulls, all not skulls, just crystals all over. Now I do have a lot of crystal figurines, because I used to
I had a
collect.
tumbler and all that at one
Yeah.
time. Actually, a few
I,
times I had tumblers. I like them in the raw state
hmm
better than in the polished or cut, unless they're of their own Herkimers or points. But yeah, I've been a crystal hound since forever. I even sold them. I couldn't tell you all their
Yeah,
energies.
it is an interesting thing. I really wanna, once I've got this mission right now to complete my videos, complete all my publications. But they're never gonna fit completely be gone. But I have so much stuff that I've done halfway here and there, or
Mm-hmm.
they're older publications. They're older public, like when we were talking
Well, now
about.
you have the free time.
Oh, free time. What free time? I don't have free time
Okay, well,
because I mean, last week I spent, this last week I wrote two new articles
mm-hmm.
plus two others that I wrote for your show at the beginning on auric bleeding. So there are four articles plus the script of the show. And the week before that, I wrote three brand new articles. That was very trying. I mean, it takes time.
You
I mean,
just
it
don't
takes
get out
time.
of your way and let it flow. I have people ask
Oh,
me
you
where
get
I
to.
come up with this stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I just get out of the way and let it go. And not that,
Yes.
don't count spelling
No,
though.
no, no. It's different. Listen to me. Listen to me. I've been a I was a professor for many
Right,
years,
right.
and
I know.
I did publications and stuff like this,
Yeah,
and
you
I
had
am
to.
faster. I'm
Hmm.
faster than anybody else in kind of organizing and writing things and stuff like this. It just simply takes time. You know what I'm saying? You write first of all, I found that some of the stuff that I have done in the past, and when I go back to it, they're time consuming because you have to reabsorb all that and then reprogram it. It's easier, actually, as you said, it's easier to just sit down from the top of your head and write it rather than going and, redoing something, And so, and I've written so many things. I told you I get up 3 o'clock in the morning and I write, I've got some inspiration or something. I write 5, 6, 10 pages,
Oh,
whatever,
Jesus.
and
You're
I put it
already
aside.
automatic writing. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, no, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning,
Uh,
5 o'clock in the morning, and these things sit in there, and then I have to bring them back, develop them into format. I mean, I write a paper like a scientific paper. I
yeah,
have an
you do. I
abstract.
saw that. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, the only difference that
Remember, we're all in kindergarten here, Mohsen. Goodness gracious sakes alive. Give our brains a break. I'm teasing.
well, the way that I
Where's
do it
my
here,
PhD?
yeah. Well, the way I do it is I just do it
Um,
in paragraph sentences. So, because I've noticed that when you throw big paragraphs at people, how much of that paragraph they're going to get? Not as much as if each one is a single sentence, because they read it as bullets. You know what I'm saying? So that if you notice
right.
my writings are, that's the only difference than I did, scientific, but and I also don't bring too much math. I mean, I don't bring any mathematics on. I do only one or two papers had a little mathematics in it, but because it's not the point. I mean, the point is to reach the heart of people and the mind of people that are, you don't want to dazzle people. You don't want to, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of games played, in the academic environment.
Right.
None of that. None of that.
Okay, now
It is.
I'm reading your page here.
It is
And
for
at least
good cause.
because we've talked about the gems, um, what is this pre university of duality, age of crystallinity? This is interesting because so much of the grid now, the 144, is it still even around or has some way, like the microwaves and the other stuff, affected it? Because I think that's what everybody's
No,
feeling. People are feeling
microwave
really.
microwaves cannot affect the grid, for God's sake.
Well, it's
The
affecting
grid.
us.
No, yeah, your grid maybe your microcosmos. Yeah, it could affect you, but we're talking about the Earth grid
Right, the
on the Gaia.
gravity and electromagnetic grid, right.
Exactly. Now, what you're referring to there, actually, I did. I hope they. I'm pretty sure they recorded that, but that basically I'm referring to basically age of man.
Okay,
That if you want to really understand where we come from, we don't come from planet Earth, and all this
exactly.
stuff about Darwinism, it's all rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
It's all nonsense. We actually came in here intact, and the first human beings were created in the constellation of Lyra, and they came in from some kind of an aquatic apes anyway. But that you're talking about, phew, I don't know how many millions of years ago. And we have been through trials several times of this duality. This Earth is not the first trial.
Oh, you're
The
right.
first one, yeah, the first one was in the constellation of Lyra. Then we had it in Sirius A and B.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've had it in Pleiades, and that's why those are all our ancestors. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
then finally it came to Earth, and we had a group of people that came from the old humans, from the constellation of Lyra and the remnants of those that came to Earth about 1 million years ago, and they became the Lemurians.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lemurians that you hear about that live under the Mount Shasta, there's like 7 layers in there that they live in harmony and peace.
It's a
And
most
these are some.
interesting area. And I
It
don't
is
know
very.
if, have you ever been there?
Oh yeah, I've been in Mount Shasta. I've been all over Mount Shasta. Yeah.
Really, you
Um,
even went up into the snow part where they don't allow people to go? At least they didn't
Snow Park.
allow us. Yeah.
I went to the pretty much one of the highest points. So I went with a group.
Oh, okay.
It
So you were
was,
okay. Because
you know,
personally, we couldn't, as just, visitors. We snuck up
uh,
a little bit, but, that's a whole different story. Yeah.
well, the Mount Shasta, because there are gateways in there to the
Oh, yeah. Of
under
both
Earth.
kinds.
You might be, yeah, you might be thinking about you went somewhere that was that because
I
there
was at
has been.
Mount Shasta for the 2011 summer solstice.
Uh-huh.
Intentionally. I know I was at Shasta. I spent over a week there. It was amazing. But the government was coming in, and the guy that was checking for the chemicals of the chemtrails that was there is gone. They took him right out. And then that the factors that we went to meet from there, for some reason the communications got distorted, so we didn't get to go in. But we were there for a mission. It was rather interesting.
Right.
But I'm
Well,
here
because
now. I won't go back.
well, Mount Shasta is a very, very potent power node.
Mm-hmm.
It also houses one of the most important of the Atlantean crystals in there.
Oh.
Yeah, and so it's one of the nine crystals is in Mount Shasta, and it is an Atlantean old colony. It actually has roots in both Atlantis and Lemuria. Okay,
Well,
all that all
makes
that
sense.
area.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, you were asking me about pre-ascension thing. That's what I was referring to. And then basically about 200,000 years ago, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we had humans living on Earth. There were Atlanteans. They were at the peak of civilization and spirituality. To be, I mean, they didn't have rivals anywhere in the galaxy. Okay. And that is why Earth is revered, basically. Earth used to be a, a library, actually, of Akashic records.
Right.
And they still say that actually the Akashic records are under the Sphinx. I don't know. I don't have I'm trying to think if Metatron ever said that, but he has talked about Sphinx. But anyway, the what is it? So then, the Atlanteans went down. I mean, the peak was until 75,000 years ago, and then they went down. And about 13,000 years ago, the same group of people who started World War II, and this is I'm talking to you as Metatron now, okay? And they they were the sons of Belial, which is basically Hitler and Himmler, and they lived in the island of Aryans,
Do
and
some
that's
call them Baal?
I'm sorry,
Do
no
some groups
Belial,
call them Baal instead of how you said it?
Belial. It should be Belial, Belial, Belial.
Okay, Belial. Okay.
Yes, the sons of Belial. They were in the island of uh, Aryan, and that's what the Aryans race that you're talking about. And
Oh,
if you
they
want to know
were
a little bit
bad. Mm-hmm.
And if you want to know about the history of that, is that the Poseida, which was the main island of Atlantis, that's where, it was a circular thing and
Mm-hmm.
everything was around it. And so that actually, the main island broke up, into pieces, and Aryans in three islands were created. But island of Aryans became basically the headquarters for some genetic research. And the reason they had genetic research because they were trying to clean and clear up some of the abnormalities because there were some genetic researches done before, as hybrid type beings. You know what I'm saying? You've seen some of that through the Egyptian history. Okay. But anyway, so these guys rebelled, and the person who was like Hitler did the same thing in there. In fact, Lord Metatron says that these feuds that we've had, like in World War II, is the continuation of the Atlantean uh, wars that gave rise to their
To me,
demise.
it's a jealousy because of the
It is.
privilege of our creation. So that's why we were made into sheep and fodder.
Well, that's exactly what they did in Atlantis. They actually, these Anunnakis who came to Earth, and they were here for 400,000 years, 480,000 or some years ago they came in. But they were doing a lot of, harvesting.
Well, we'll get back to that on the flip side of this break. Well, welcome back here at freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. And please go to www.leather-shop.biz and tell them MR2015 sent you. Yes, check out that leatherware. It's getting time to get out there on those bikes and have an adventure. Because you are here at Adventures of a Feral Hippie, Hippie, Hippie. Oh, and it's Monday with Mohsen. But I have not seen the donations going up. We have, I don't even want to tell you how much we got to get to. But anyway, yeah. Archives $5 a month. Pretty reasonable for any of those shows that you've missed. And we have so many hosts and that. We also have DVDs available in case you want to go on those road trips for the summer and have something interesting to play with. Alrighty, Mohsen.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a question here for you.
Sure.
What or whom, what or whom were the Anunnaki harvesting? And did you even say the word Anunnaki? I don't remember you saying it.
Yeah, I just started talking about Anunnaki, and then we got cut off.
Oh, because I thought it was the BA, those ones that...
No, the sons of Belial those were part of the Atlanteans.
Oh.
The Anunnakis.
Angry ones, it seems like, right? Or not?
The sons of Belial.
Mm-hmm.
They were troublemakers.
Yeah.
They were just
punks.
They were basically Nazis. They were the same thing as Nazis. You see, they were troublemakers. They were power seekers. They were power mad. They wanted to subjugate others. They wanted to rule. And in fact, what they did was this. They came in and they said that they're losing their territories, and because Atlantis was in charge of the entire planet. And so they said that, and they couldn't get away anywhere. So what they did, because there was no such a parliamentary thing, because the adept priests had the 100% control, and those were the divine beings that from the 12th dimension, and not only they had the highest powers in divine powers, they were also spiritual, and they were benevolent and all that. So what they did, they started saying, oh, well, they need to have votes and this and that. And so they created a lot of problems. And, they said that they're losing territories, they're losing control, they're Cypriots or other kind of people, whatever. And that part of the world, they are, they're coming up, and they're defying, their power and stuff, which there wasn't, because everything was very smoothly run. by the adept priest. But anyway, so some people in Atlantis, they stirred up problems and they asked for a parliamentary thing. So then they got a parliamentary thing, and the adept priests still had the majority. So they accepted that. They went step by step by step. First, the uprising. Same thing they did. The Nazis did.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, basically, they got certain priests that they they totally um, deceived them, with this ambition and power and all this stuff,
Right.
and
Competition. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then they voted against, and so anyway, it became a parliamentary thing, and people had representatives in this stuff, which of course these sons of Belial, the Aryans, got in control and all that stuff, and the next thing it was that they wanted to use the crystals. Now these 9 crystals were extremely powerful. I mean, they weren't just healing or this or that crystals or energetics or stuff. They could be used as weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So they used that. They actually blew up the satellite, and when the satellite went, the energetic power and everything got messed up. And anyway, then there were turmoils, and the Ramans and the Lemurians and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, but as far as the Anunnakis are concerned, Anunnakis were always here. I mean, the Atlantis, even 200,000 years ago, this was a galactic environment. I mean, people used to come in, and not just people, I mean, all kinds of races, all kinds of species. They used to come in from all over the galaxy. It was a and some of them were in the fifth dimension, some were in the seventh, some were in the ninth. And the way it was that if you were in the ninth dimension, you could see the seventh and the fifth and all those dimensions. But if you were in the fifth dimension, you would keep to the the people who were at your level of consciousness. So anyway, the Anunnakis came in there, and there's some biblical stories, and Zachariah Sitchin has also written a lot of. He wrote 12 books plus, actually about 15 of them. 12 were initially planned, and talked about Nibiru because that's where Anunnakis initially came from,
Mm.
and the Nibiru became it was there were galactic wars and they lost, and it just became basically the planet of renegades. And some of these Anunnakis that at that time came in, they were basically renegades. And biblical stuff or Zachariah Sitchin say that they came in here because they wanted to harvest gold because their planet was, the atmosphere was going, was in trouble, and gold would fix that. So anyway, but when they came in here at the very end, when they saw this turmoil and stuff, they got into it, and they stood aside because Atlantis was still Atlantis, but they worked with the sons of Belial and all this stuff in the genetic labs. So, and that is how they started. They told these old Nazis that basically you have to create a submissive race of humans if you want to rule on this planet, because these are all high consciousness people, at least in the fifth dimension. And so what they did, they took people into the labs, and they started working on their genetics, and they basically cut 10 of our the best of us, of course, the 10 of our what is it, strands of DNA, and they cut us off. So that is why such things that you see once in a while, people are endowed with it, like telepathy, clairvoyance, you know what I'm saying, remote
Yeah,
viewing.
exactly. Almost like a kickback.
Well, some people have it because
Well, if you think about it, if it's been bred out of us, but all of a sudden it's showing up, that means some other form of self preservation and DNA activation occurring. At least that's what it would seem like to me.
Well, the definitely DNA activation is occurring right now,
Hmm.
and the children are being reborn actually with being born with four strands of DNA. It's very well documented in the history in the scientific journals right now. But there have always been anomalies. You know what I'm saying? That 200 years ago, you would see mediums and you would see clairvoyants and you see people like this, and they did exist because it is like see the strands of DNA is like a fiber optics, and then these fibers, if they connect, you know what I'm saying? You can get a certain trait gets activated. I mean, we've had clairvoyant people, we've had remote viewers, we've had telepathic people, and all of us have telepathy to a certain extent.
Right.
But
There it goes
it's
back to the allowance.
yes, and it's dormant. It's just it's but some people, the people who are more intuitive, and there've been spiritual masters and people like this that even right now they exist in Tibet, that the monk can levitate, and there are so many traits that we had that were all taken away from us,
Hmm.
and they made a submissive thing. So Anunnakis were the people who dealt with that. And then to answer this person's question is that yes, the Anunnakis were the malevolent, beings who did this, and after that they actually took over the planet, and we know the rest of it. I don't want to even get into that. You know what I'm saying? The reptilians and the half breeds and all that kind of stuff. But the basically the pre-ascension that I was talking about was basically some of this history, which I gave you a very, very brief and short account of it, but overall account of it. And so we were fifth dimensional beings and higher. So basically, the so called ascension is basically not more than resurrection. However, when you drop down in your frequency, you have to build yourself back up. You have to expand. You have to come back. This is the way the cosmos works. Everything is consciousness. Consciousness is given through light, and it's light energy. And it is, you have a system, you have a microcosmos, which is your auric chakra system. We talked about that. And there is a way that you work, your system works. The energies come into your aura, gets distributed to your chakras work with your endocrine system, you know regulates your physical body, as well as interfaces with the ethereal,
Hmm.
and also your neural network. It goes all the way back to your brain in decision making and thoughts, and the energies basically turn from light energy into thought energies.
Hmm.
And if and that's what we're trying to do right now. We're going trying to go back to the a higher form of thought forms, which is theta instead of beta that we have.
Hmm.
And so, but you
Not
have to,
fear of it, but just getting to know to recognize it. So then
no,
you can utilize it, just like your words and other things of those natures.
right. Fear absolutely actually um, doesn't work because these energies are benevolent, they are unconditional love and compassion. And if you activate that, they dissolve the transmute fear and anxiety and all that stuff. But the problem is that it's difficult because you've got this endocrine system, right? Endocrine system that is used to functioning certain way. Okay, so even humanity, who For example, we've died so many times and come back and died and reincarnated, but it's still death is an issue to people. Part of that is because, you're totally in amnesia when you come in.
Mm-hmm.
You start from scratch,
Yeah,
okay?
don't we?
And it is very, very hard to get back your memories back. And if you are not connected through your heart, intuitive, senses, it is lost to you. It is
Mm-hmm.
it's amnesia. It's like a person who,
Because we set so
you know,
many limits and so much no. And I mean, I think I was a pretty decent parent considering what I hear what other parents treated their children, but I knew I didn't want to treat my children like I got treated.
yeah, and again, people come in they with certain mission.
Mm
I think, for example, my wife came on this world, had two great missions. Okay, two things. From her own point of view, she wanted to be an independent. She doesn't want to be a wife. So if she was in a female form in pre reincarnations, she wanted to come in, and I gave her all that, power. I put her to medical school, I supported her all the way, and I let her to go all the way to a point that I actually stood aside. I took care of the children. Okay,
hmm.
I became the house parent,
Mm hmm.
and with a PhD and being quite successful. Actually, I was at Georgia Tech. I mean, but it was not a issue for me. It was an issue for her. So I let her have that life and all this. And I believe my first part of my life was to just dedicate myself and take care of her and take care of the children.
Mm hmm. Mm hmm.
And so, so that's this. Now I know that I have no other interest. I mean, I have interest in my children. I want still to see them, although they're way grown up and stuff. So,
Right.
but that I know that I live in here to give service. This is the only reason I'm alive. I know this
Mm
because
hmm.
I have no interest in money. I have no interest in anything. It bothers me to see greed and injustice and all these things. And I'm trying to alleviate that. I said, don't let it bother you. It doesn't matter. It's all part of it, just an excursion in a park. You know what I'm saying? It,
Yeah, just because the dogs are fighting each other doesn't mean you have to get in the middle of it.
exactly. And you indicated that this at the beginning too. There's those bad things are out there, and I just today I had about 5, 6 different things written to me about soliciting money for Tibet. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? And all this stuff. Or what was it? The earthquakes. The
Yeah, that DePaul. Yeah.
Nepal, the Nepal, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Nepal. And the thing is that and they're saying it right there in the paragraph that these people are crooks and this and this. And we've seen this. Money comes in, grain comes in, they steal it, they go sell it on a black
Right.
market, all this stuff. But anyway, the thing is that I accept everything that comes in is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the entire experience that we go in here, it doesn't matter how horrible and bad it may be to us, or the other way, joyful or whatever. It's only an experience. All it is basically you are being in a play, in a show, you're in an excursion. It's
Right.
just an experience. It's just an experience. It's not eternal. It is not,
So
you
what
know,
you're
you will
basically really saying is if we are living a past issue in this now by holding on to it, we're actually holding ourselves back from any kind of future growth.
that is completely correct. One, we've talked about this on this show that a lot of our the problems on this planet right now is the pre-programming, from the moment that you come out of the mother's womb.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're told what to do and you're told what to believe and what is right and what is wrong and change the buck and do this and protect yourself and this and this and this. So people, the child learns from the beginning when they, especially in the West. I was born in Persia, in Iran, okay? Now I can tell you this, the richness of the culture in there, there is absolutely no comparison with the culture in this country. I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you that. And I'm not prejudiced and I'm not advocating Iran and I'm not I'm a I don't even advocate humanity. I think I advocate soul energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The
Because
basic rule. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what we are. We are
Right.
spirits. We come from God. We're consciousness. And
Exactly.
in what form we are, what language we speak, what nations we come from, all it doesn't, But anyway, I want to tell you this, and that's part of it is because Iran was actually very close to Sumeria. In fact, Iran ruled Sumeria and all that. You know about all that history probably.
You mean Syria?
No, Sumeria,
Oh,
Sumer,
really? Hmm.
the old
How,
Sumer.
well, how
You know,
long
it,
ago was that?
well, 2,500 years ago, Persia was the biggest, uh, what is it,
All
uh,
these
pa-
years.
in the
Country.
world. And I
Uh-huh.
tell you something, there is something that you will not find in any history with Alexander or Napoleon or whoever you want to think about. Okay, they were all crooks. They were all very, very ambitious people, but the person who established the Persian Empire was actually Cyrus the Great or Kurosh. The only person who's praised so highly as a saint in even Bible. He never conquered people. People used to put the red carpet in front of him to come in, and he would go there and take care. You know what I'm saying? Structure the whole place, keep all the money right there.
Mm-hmm.
Never. I mean, you should read about Cyrus the Great. He's one of the highest. I mean, he's one of the greatest persons ever lived on this planet. Okay, and he's the one who established the Persian Empire. Okay, but anyway, you know, like anything else, not everybody. I mean, there's Darius the Great, who even was more expansionist, and all this stuff. There was Xerxes and all that, but these came later. They were all his ancestors or whatever. But Cyrus is the one that I'm talking about. He rebuilt the temples, the Jewish temple. He gave them the freedom. He freed Babylonia. I mean, he did stuff. You got to read about him. But anyway, what I'm saying is that because of him, I think. Okay. Hello. Are we okay?
I'm here. I'm just Googling, or should I
No.
say Yahooing,
Yeah.
because I went and found it. So it's Cyrus the Great.
Yeah. Cyrus the Great.
Or now,
And,
what is the Sirus? It says the Great Persian. Why would it be two different spellings?
it's actually should be Kurosh, Kurush, but there are different forms of it. You know what I'm saying? There's a Greek form of it. There's the Western adaptation, but it's basically Cyrus, Cyrus. It should be. It could be that you said Cyrus, Sirus.
Yeah, it says Sirus, the Great Persian images,
So,
because I put in the, you know.
well, Sirius means maybe they just mean something else, but Cyrus the Great was the person who was that established the Persian Empire,
Mm-hmm.
and they were a group of farmers actually, and he was so good that people came to him and gave him all this stuff, and even the general who really promote his images and stuff, the general. There were Mede generals, and don't get me get into this because I can give you. I don't want to get into all this stuff. I mean, people can read about the history of all this.
Yeah, I
But
put it in chat, so. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
what I was saying is that basically that country has a rich tradition because going back to Cyrus the Great, and even prior to Cyrus the Great, there was the great Zarathustra, the or we call him Zartosht, and even Nietzsche wrote also Sprach Zarathustra, thus Zarathustra spoke, and he was the one who actually brought the very inception of religion. Okay, very old. I mean, in India, part of Iran, they annihilated all this stuff in Iran because when the Muslims came in, they just rooted out any other religion, and there are still, I mean, they're the old Persian Zoroastrians. Okay, and it's one of the greatest actually religions, and I want to go back and study him. When I there's so much stuff I like to do, but I want to spend more time with because I was born in a as Muslim family, although we were not religious at all.
Mm-hmm.
And even my dad, my brother is actually converted to Zoroastrian, and so. But anyway, there are so much, even in the language of Persian, when we talk, everything we say, we praise each other.
Right.
Everything we say, we praise each other. For example, we say "Qurbunet beram." That means I sacrifice myself for you. I mean, things that, it is so kind, it's so, and hospitality, I don't think you're going to go anywhere in the world. I don't even care. I'm going to say that. I'm going to go on a limb. You're not going to find any country that are as hospitable as Persians. Okay? They would just spend their last penny to make you comfortable if you're in their home. So anyway, but some of these things, some of these great things existed in the past, and unfortunately nowadays, you brought up. I mean, this American culture spearheaded a lot of things through propagation of all this television and movies and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, and people saw a certain part of glamour or plentifulness or something like this, that they became materialistic and all that stuff. But I mean, if you go in Iran even right now, materialism is shunned upon. And I'm not saying everybody lives that life, because to be honest with you, I haven't been in Iran for 40 years, and I
Mm-hmm.
know after the Iraq wars, the Iraq and Persian wars, which is ridiculous because Iraq was part of Persia, and they're the closest in terms of religion. They're the two major countries that have a Shiite form of Islam. So they should be the last ones to fight with each other. But they created, that Saddam Hussein and all that crazy stuff, and they're it's all warmongering anyway. I don't want to get into politics. Okay, again, I try to keep away from all that. I suffered enough when I was a child thinking about these, or when I was a teenager and stuff. You can't
Right.
change these things. I mean, this setup, it's so rooted. It goes back at least 13,000 years, you know.
Well, that went by real fast. Okay, since we're time warping it, we'll see you back after the last or the next shift.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, welcome back to freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio, and oh, morels. Ooh. Yeah, it's time to think about what you need to make you happy, people. This is what we're really trying to be here and help account for. And if you really do want the station to keep going, you're going to have to help donate. Yeah, that's just par for the course. And we really appreciate those who are. And thank you very much because we're getting so updated. That you can hear our hair grow. So, yes, we are back. And there's all kinds of ways. Please go to the homepage and check it out. All right, Mohsen, where'd we leave off?
Yes, dear. I think we were talking about first the Atlanteans, the Anunnakis. Then we started talking
The
about Persia.
parasites. Yeah, all the parasites.
Parasites. We talked
That's
about
what
I
they
don't.
are. That's to me what they are.
Oh, I see what you're
They
saying.
are
Yeah. Uh-huh.
parasites. Come on.
But
There, thank you.
they're part of the legacy of
Oh,
this planet, and we're getting out of it. And what we have to do is just all of us get together, have this, see this unity consciousness,
mm-hmm.
this collective consciousness. It is the most important. It's the number one thing that we should basically invest our energies and existence in it. I mean, even this stuff there are people out there who are trying to raise their frequencies. Okay. They look at even the most benevolent, divine, godly thing still from the point of view of selfishness and self preservation.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that has to be totally eradicated in the mind of people. That you are not the only important thing. That you do not have to worry about survival. That it is good to feel good for everybody and to cooperate and help and have compassion and have unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to introduce this as such, but maybe it will get into brain of some people to start thinking that way.
Well, I think
Because
they'd feel a whole lot better because what you give is what you get.
yeah, because you see this collective consciousness, exactly. It's basically what you're saying. This collective consciousness helps everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
It's
common sense and it's been trained out of us, which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't even like to use the word unity consciousness, which means exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which means unity, one unit. Everybody's one. We're all one. But the people may misunderstand the unity consciousness, what it means. But collective consciousness means all together. You still have your personality. You still have your free will. You still have your individualism. It is not some kind of insect mentality that you will lose yourself in the meanwhile, or you become the worker. You know what I'm
The
saying,
slave
or the slave, or the
for
soldiers.
somebody else's idea, right?
You don't. We're saying quite the opposite of that. You know, everybody. See, unfortunately, the root of negativity, lack of faith. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at this. I mean, 40 years I've been in this country, okay, and I want to tell you something. And I said these things 40 years ago. I think I must have been attuned because I knew where I was going in the future anyway. But I swear that everything that I say in here, I've thought and I felt strongly about all my life. Okay? Now, I'm not saying I've been perfect. I'm not saying that I've been really, really awakened, knowing who I am, where I come from, where I'm going, and what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not saying that I have not shown anger or reacted, based upon this what you say cause and effect. I don't believe the cause and effect. Going back to this, actually, cause and effect should be cause, and then the effect should be still positive.
Well,
You should
right.
not you should not have plus 3 minus 3 becomes 0. You should have plus 3 plus 3 becomes 6. So basically, actually going back to what you said, I've been thinking about that in the intermissions.
Mm-hmm.
That what you were saying is that giving hugs, which is in my way that I'm saying, or my point of view. It's a purely benevolent and kind
Hmm.
and
I
loving
agree.
attitude. But you and I've been trying to understand you, and I think I understand you, and I want to actually elaborate on that.
Okay.
You may be right. It just see everything. See when we're we're creatures that interact with each other more with words communicate than our energies. I mean, the energies is there when we do. I mean, we can't help it because our auras cross. But especially if we're not close to each other, within 15 feet of each other, you know what I'm saying? It's just
Hmm.
all words. Getting a message, getting on the phone, whatever, getting a letter, whatever, and words, can create lack of communication. Okay, because it's subject to interpretation.
Yeah, that's
There,
like texting.
yeah, there is no telepathy in it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? In
Hmm.
telepathy, you go in somebody's head and you feel what they feel. There is no ambiguity about it. There is no
Right.
misunderstanding, and that's where we're going. Language is going to be gone. Okay, your everything is going to be pictorial, and it's going to be basically through telepathy in the future. But anyway, let me go back and reiterate on this. Saying, you're saying a sentence, I'm saying a sentence, and I'm sure we understand each other because we have, we have a lot of things that we understand each other very well.
Right.
It's apparent.
Uh-huh.
You know, we're part of the same movement, same thoughts, same emotions, same everything. So I've been thinking, what is Mona said this, and what she mean? Now, I want to tell you this, honey. Okay? Yes, I agree with you. If you give somebody a hug, and either that hug is not meant totally, felt really inside your heart, and it is not kind and benevolent, it can actually backfire on you
Hmm.
because the other person says, "Well, they don't want to be petted." You know what
Right.
I'm saying? They don't want pity.
Hmm.
They don't want all this, and then just push you away. So
Yeah. Conditionally.
yeah, that just puts it away because it's just like you're just doing this either to shut me up. Of course, you might want something from me or whatever, but in other words, it is not it is not acting in in a benevolent way, the way it's interpreted. Okay,
Because that's
so
only within themselves that they're seeing it. But yes, some people,
exactly.
they have to quit thinking and start feeling it because once they allow it, man, I've had some tantra hugs that people told us to get a room and we were just hugging each other.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
Tell me about
seriously.
that. One of the thing that I want to tell you this, Mona, and I was director or the executive for my wife's business, my own businesses, all this stuff, and throughout my life, I've seen this. Okay, and right now, sometimes when a young girl, 20, 25, writes to me and the Facebook and stuff like this, and the first reaction that I have, call her honey, or call her dear, or call her something nice,
Right.
or because I do this just to make them feel good about themselves, loving themselves.
Hmm.
But you know what? 90% of the time, over 90 some percent of the time, I know this with my employees happen all the time. Na- geez, who do these girls think they are? Who do these people think they are? That every man that with the kindest, I mean, don't you see my white hair? Don't you see that I have 3 children? Don't you see that I love my wife? Don't you see all this stuff? Everybody right away wants to think that it is some kind of sexual connotation in there.
Right. Right.
It is something. I think it is so, first of all, it's ridiculous, bizarre, and I think part of it is very selfish. And in fact, part of it is when you look at it from a psychological, from a purely spiritual mentality, you see it's actually sick because there are people, and it's not there are people, there's a lot of people like this that they want that sexual attraction. And if you feel that you didn't do it as a sexual attraction because they're pretty or they have a nice body or they have this and this, they feel bad about themselves. They feel rejected. They feel something.
Whoa.
There's got there's got to be a happy medium in here
We'd
that
hope.
you can see me. I'm being benevolent and kind, and at the same time, you are not a bad-looking person. You are not being rejected. But you know what? It is one of the biggest challenges in this society. As is trust, mutual trust, is virtually gone, especially if it's money related. You know what I'm saying? Even if
Mm-hmm.
you go out there to somebody, you want to give them $100, the first thing they're gonna say, "What do you want me to do for this? For you? You want sex? You want this? This is amazing. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that. I have given money to people, and they realize that after a while, but the first look that comes right in their, you can read their mind right there. What do you want from me?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. What do I want from these listeners right now? Absolutely nothing.
Oh,
There's a
you want them to donate so we can keep our shows going.
Well, that's you. That's not me. I'm just a guest in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you something. If I want something from them, is hopefully they will discern and they pay attention and discern, and it will help them, because that time I can sit back in here and feel like I'm not wasting my time,
Right.
because I'm putting precious time, energy, all this stuff. I mean, look at this. I have to go and redo a program. And by the way, I want to tell you this, Mona, the end of this last program was the
Mm-hmm.
best that I have ever done.
Oh, well, usually.
Well, no, no, no. It is this,
But
this,
think
this.
about it, because why
No, I
isn't it
told the
there, you
kids.
know?
I told the kids, I said, what did you think about that one? Because it just came in that I was very, very persuasive
Uh-huh. And open.
in telling them to take care of their auric stuff. There's a good reason. It is real.
Mm-hmm.
It means something that what you were trying to do at the beginning. And I had a couple of my actually followers that they took this and put it on their stuff. They said, "Listen to what he's saying. He has something in here. It is true,
Mm-hmm.
or auric health is important, whatever." But this, I mean, I think. But anyway, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go and lovingly redo it. And I hate redoing stuff because I'm trying to get through this stuff, so it's out there for people. For all this time, I've been thinking, hey, you've got all this thing in your head. You're not communicating with anybody. You stop writing books. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff. You need to put it out there.
Right.
It is a light. Hopefully, it light up somebody's path. But at least you have to put the light in there. If they don't want to use it. That's their prerogative. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, just, what am I getting out of this one? We talked about this last time, and I hate controversies, and I hate it. But some of these things have to be pointed out
Mm-hmm.
for people who either have indulged in it at sometimes in their own life,
Are
either
you
even if,
moving around?
no, I'm not.
No, it sounds like somebody's just shuffling papers and cleaning all around you.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
Where on earth are you getting this?
I don't
Nobody's
know.
around me. I'm sitting in here.
Yeah, well,
I'm
it's
sitting
just
on a
there's.
couch and I'm very relaxed, and
Can you hear this?
that I hear. Yes,
Okay, well, that's kind of like what I'm hearing.
it's not from me
Okay, well,
because I don't hear it on this side until you did that.
uh-huh, okay, because it's coming from your mic. That's why you wouldn't hear it.
Oh my God!
It's okay. It's just, it was like, "All right, what are you doing? Writing papers now? Because
Is it doing
it's
it
better
again?
now. No, it's every crack
I
would
have
hit my
no
ear.
idea what's going on.
Okay, well, it's all good now. So,
Like I don't understand at 1:30 why 1:20. Why just the transmission just stops to the studio. You know,
Oh,
it
I know,
just,
right? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
All these hours, all these times that basically probably they don't have anything or they have reruns or whatever. It doesn't happen when, you know, but anyway, I don't understand what's going on, but
Well,
anyway.
it's like give thanks that at least you can recognize if you're not able to control or change it, then you won't.
The only way that I feel and makes me happy and go on and all this stuff is that if I reached one person
Mm-hmm.
or a few people and I helped them, I've done something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously, it would be nice if 7 billion people will do the right thing that I think is right thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And all this, and it's not just me. It comes from all the way. It comes from Metatron. You know what I'm saying? It comes from God Himself. I mean, I don't. I'm very careful about what I say. You know, it's just I try not to muddy it with any duality. You know what I'm saying?
You mean just with opinion, because we're all still assuming, because the only way to get through it is in your own knowing, and everybody else has a different knowledge.
Yeah, but the thing that comes through your heart and it's just I've all my life I've always tried to be very fair when I was a professor, when I graded students, with everything, and all the time. And I've been angry when I see unfairness. And you come across times that people don't think, even your own children. You have to argue with them because they see it from their point of view. They see it from their things. They don't want to do something. You say that, I mean, but if you really go and analyze it and bring all this stuff, you see that it's just benevolent. It's, I mean, I just can't think that I would go and do something out of malice, or I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I might have a thought cross my mind, but I can't go there
yeah,
because I know that what I give is what I'll get. And you know what? I'm in no mood for any BS.
yeah. If anything is negative, I've come to a situation. I think we started out saying this. I've come to a situation now, Mona, that negativity or anything really seriously bother me. It's so bad. I mean, it always bothered me, but it's just right. You can't go there. You've got to go 100% good in benevolence or forget it. You know what I'm saying? That's why sometimes if a negative thought comes to me, even if that thought is just like tiredness or anxiety or something, I'm still a human being. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But
And
you've learned to alter it so it doesn't control you, you control it.
right, but still, that the thought may come in. You're in duality. Once you're in duality, you're subject to both polarities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you can't help it.
Right.
They're in the air. It comes to you. It comes and it becomes a thought form. You have to be very careful to immediately stop the thought form. Let the energy just pass away, because once it becomes a thought form, it is there.
Right.
And if you
Same with
dwell,
words.
yeah, and then if you dwell upon it, it actually becomes a belief system
Mm-hmm.
that it becomes even more problem. And that is the problem with wars. That's the problem with all this, you know, belligerence and abuse and prejudice and all this kind of stuff, because it becomes a belief. I mean, you just go back and think about some of these people who treated people just because their colors were black. They thought that they're just inferior just because they're. I mean, you just try to even fathom that kind of belief system. It is,
Well, the Native Americans were all savages.
or the Native Americans, exactly. And here's the thing. Sometimes some very warm thoughts and feelings come to my heart, because I believe that the Native Americans are prevailing now in many ways. Okay, first of all, they're the only ones who are sovereign in this country, and anybody else were useless because we're all slaves. You know that. We're all immigrants. We all came on the boat. We're part of the boat. They own us because they own the boat and all the cargo on the boat, and we were cargo. That's actually what it is in the legal system. They don't tell you this because they can't tell you that, but they own you. You know what I'm saying? The only people they don't own is the red in, it is the our red Indians. The native people.
Well, we all got to find our true inner source of our spirit power and help strengthen our souls, for this is one heck of an adventure. Thanks, Mohsen, for our Mohsen Monday.
My pleasure, dear. Have
We'll
a
get
nice
back at
week,
you.
and we'll get you.
Thank you, darling. Later, y'all.
Bye bye.